Hey everybody, welcome to the kitchen today where we're going to be making lasagna, one of my favorite Italian dishes. And to get things started here, I've already cooked the meat for this. This is about 1.25 pounds of ground beef. Again, this is a recipe that you could use pork in it, or you could use ground beef like I'm using today, or you could use Italian sausage. But what I've done here, for the interest of saving time, is I've gone ahead and cooked it. I've put in some onions and some salt and pepper, and that's all I have here for our meat sauce, and we'll start putting that together. Also have water on the stove, about 3 quarts of water that we're going to use to boil our pasta in just a minute. But let's get started on this sauce first, okay? Again, 1.25 pounds of ground beef, and I've already drained the fat off this. And to that, we're going to add 2 6-ounce cans of tomato paste, not sauce, but paste. You got away from me there. There we go. There's that. We're going to save that can because I'm going to add a little water to this. And so here we go with the second can. We're going to be making a real rich, thick sauce, because one of the secrets to making a good lasagna that doesn't fall all apart when you cut it, is to have a good thick base for that, a good thick sauce. And so that's what we got there. All right, I'll get that off. And to that, we're going to add 1 can of water. Put that in. All right. Then a tablespoon of parsley, about a tablespoon, and a tablespoon of garlic, minced garlic. Maybe not quite a full tablespoon. All right. And then to that, we're going to add 2 cups of diced tomatoes. Now, what I've done here, normally I use diced tomatoes that are not seasoned. These are the Italian seasoned diced tomatoes. I used these recently, and I really like the way they turned out. But we'll have to adjust our seasoning on this a little bit later, because these are very highly seasoned. And what I'm using here is a red gold, and they have the basil, the garlic, and the oregano in there. But you can use any brand you like. But when you're doing this, you really have to back off on some of your other seasonings. And so what we'll do, we'll mix this all together. We'll put it on the stove, bring it up, to a good simmer, and then we'll taste it to make sure that our seasonings are right. Got that all together, and you can see that it's already pretty thick, but it's going to thicken up a lot more once that tomato paste works its magic in here. All right, so we've got our ground beef, our garlic, salt and pepper that I already added, about 1/2 of a diced onion that I added earlier, and then of course our 2 cups of diced tomatoes, Italian seasoned tomatoes. All right, I'm going to put this over on the stove, and we're going to put this over like low or medium heat and let it work its magic. And I'm going to do that uncovered. Also have the water on over here for our pasta. I'm going to turn that up on high, and we'll put that pasta in here in just a minute. All right, let's put together our cheese filling. And what I'm using here today is ricotta cheese. You could use cottage cheese if you like, but ricotta seems to be the one that works best for me, and it also is a little richer than the cottage cheese. And so we'll put this in our bowl here. It's good to let this kind of come up to just a little bit, room temperature. If you can do that, it's a little easier to work when we start mixing it up. All right. There's our ricotta, and these are two 15-ounce packages. Let me get this up out of the way. I like to clean my stuff up as I go. And then to that, we're going to add about 3/4 cup of Parmesan cheese, shredded. And then we're going to do a couple of eggs that are slightly beaten. And we're going to mix that all in there with that. And this is going to be a great, I'll just use this fork here. This is going to be a great cheese filling for our lasagna. That's enough of that. Pour that in. And for some reason, I'm out of paper towels today. So I'm having to use the old-fashioned towel. All right, so we'll just kind of mix this all up together. And again, this will be beautiful when we start assembling our lasagna here in just a few minutes. Oh, we also need to add just a tad of parsley to that. Not much, just enough to kind of give it a little color. And this is a lot easier to mix when it's kind of warmed up like it is now. So that will make it easier for you to get all this egg and cheese incorporated. This is probably going to be a little bit more than we need. But I like what I have left over. I like to make a little small lasagna for myself a little bit later to have, some other time. Sometimes I make 2 of these up at once, double this recipe, and I make one to freeze and one to have right away for my family or whoever I'm feeding. All right, so there you have it. That's kind of you can see that's kind of a smooth, that's going to spread real easy over our lasagna when we get ready to do that. Okay, so we'll set that aside. I'll go back over here and give this a stir. Our water is boiling now, and we're going to put our pasta in, cook it about 15 minutes or whatever it says on the package. Sometimes you have to kind of fudge on it a little bit, depending upon how done you want it. And a lot of people make their own pasta. If you want to do that, that's great. I don't have time for that. So in this water, I have added a little bit of oil so we don't make these stick. And I'm putting in about 8 or 9 of these pasta sheets here, this ravioli, because that's what it's going to take to build our dish here in just a moment. I think I might have one more left, yeah. All right, we're going to cook that again about 15 minutes, stirring it occasionally just to make sure that it doesn't stick. Okay, so we've got our cheese mixture made. We've got our sauce on the stove doing its thing. And so when we get it done and we get our pasta done, we'll come back and I'll show you how to put this dish together. Okay, everybody, we're back and we're about ready to assemble our lasagna. And so you'll notice here that I have our sauce, which is done. And incidentally, I did have to salt it a little bit, but that's the only thing that I did differently. I've got our sauce ready, and you can see how thick and beautiful it is. You want it to have this type of consistency, because if it's real runny, you're going to have lasagna that'll spraddle on you when you cut it. Okay, this is our, what do you call this? Casserole dish, and it's been sprayed and ready for us to start assembly. I've finished my pasta over here. I hope you can see that. And I put it out here on a towel just to sort of dry up just a little bit, because, again, this is one of those things, if your pasta is real wet, when you put it all down, when you get ready to cut it, it has a tendency to swarm on you a little bit. So I've got it laid out on this towel, and I've sort of patted it dry. So, all right, let's get this thing on the go here. First of all, I like to put just a little bit of this filling on the bottom. Don't ask me why. I think I've just always done it, and it's because I think a time or two I put my pasta down and it stuck to the casserole dish. So I'm going to put this in just sort of just very lightly, put a little bit around so that pasta won't stick. Okay, then our pasta comes next. And we're going to put about 4 of these in. I think that's what it'll hold. It looks like maybe 3. And again, putting it out on a towel like this makes it a lot easier to work with too. All right, we've got 3 down. You could put a little piece here on the side, but I'm not going to do that. All right, then this is our cheese mixture. We're just going to dollop it around like so. Something like about like that. We may have to add a little bit more. And I'm going to take this little spatula and sort of spread that around and just put a nice even layer of this ricotta cheese, Parmesan, egg, parsley mixture that we got on here. Put just a little bit more in that corner and that corner. Oh yeah, this is going to be just about right. And this is working so easy too. Sometimes when this stuff's real cold, this ricotta, it's hard to work. That's why a lot of people use cottage cheese. Okay, then we're going to go with our mozzarella. Not that's our pizza blend. We're going to go with our mozzarella. And we're just going to kind of sprinkle this right on the top. And I don't know how much to tell you to put on there. I just kind of do it till I think it's had enough. Something about that like right there. Then we're going to go over here with our sauce. And I'm going to use something a little different here. Again, this sauce is thick, and that's what you want, a really thick sauce. And so we're going to just lay that on the top, spoon that on the top. As I said earlier in the video, I probably got a little more here than we're going to need, but I'll use it for a little baby lasagna I might make later. Okay, so take that. That's about 6 good spoonfuls, and we'll kind of smear this all over. A little bit more. And that's a great thing about this. You can put 3 layers on this if you got a big enough dish, but 2 will be about what we do here today. But it smells great. I wish you could smell it. All right, you see how firm and solid that is. It's not runny, and that's going to make a great lasagna. Okay, now it's our first layer, so we'll go now with layer number 2. And again, same procedure. Pasta. I'm going to have 3 left. That's good. That's going to work out good. Pasta. Then back with our ricotta. And since I know we're going to have plenty, I'm going to go maybe a little heavier on this one. Let's try that right there. It's almost like icing a cake, which I'm not very good at, by the way. But this flows pretty easy. Well, I'm going to go ahead and use the rest of this. And I won't be making my little baby lasagna after all. But I can save the sauce and use it for another time, or it could freeze it. And by the way, as I mentioned earlier, sometimes I make 2 of these and freeze the other one, and they freeze very well. So you don't have to worry about it. In fact, I think they're better when they're frozen, to be honest with you. But the sweet thing about that is when you have unexpected guests, or you have maybe a church potluck or something along that line, you're ready to go. All right. We got that. And then more mozzarella cheese. And you really can't overdo it, especially if you like cheese. This is going to come out just about right, because when we get this all done, then we're going to top this with the traditional way is more mozzarella, but I'm going to do a pizza blend which has cheddar in it, and that's just going to make this beautiful. I think I'll just finish that off. Okay, put that over there. All right, and now for our final meat sauce. And we'll just let this, I'll just finish all this off. It's going to be more than enough, but I'll let it go down the sides of this end over here just to give it a little more, little extra kick. This is a dish that you could put a nice green salad with it, or even some green beans, Italian cut green beans, or just eat it plain with a little garlic bread or garlic toast. All right, let me get this spread all over. As I say, when it's thick, it spreads a lot better than when it's thin, because thin, it just rolls everywhere. You just have to handle it kind of gingerly. Now you could put a 3rd layer on this in this big dish, but I'm not going to do that. We're going to do this because I'm going to load it up pretty heavy with cheese on top. So this is going to be just 2 layers. All right. Now, as I said, mozzarella is the way that you normally go with this, but I'm going to use this blend because I think it really adds a kick to it, and it really makes it pretty. All right, here we go. And I'm going to go pretty heavy. And you can do this any way you like, because when you're making it yourself, you got to do what's best for your family and your guests or whoever you're cooking for. I'm going to put it all on there. We call this cheesy lasagna. How about that? All right. And notice I filled in these voids in the side. When this cooks, it's going to spread out a little bit. All right, well, there you have it. I think that looks beautiful. And I've set the oven for 350, and I'm going to pop it in, and we're going to cook it uncovered about 30 minutes. And then we may, depending upon how dark it is, we may put it on broil and just kind of broil the top of it. But let's just see how it turns out, okay? All right, again, 350. And we'll let it cook for about 30 minutes, and then we'll take it off and see what it looks like. Hey everybody, welcome back. I just checked our lasagna. It looks beautiful. It's been about 35 minutes. I'm going to pull it out and let you take a look at it. Oh wow, this is beautiful. Can you see that? Nice and toasty on the top. Beautiful. Our cheese is all melted and brown just a little bit. And hey, it looks great. Well, we're going to let this set about 15 minutes and then we'll cut into it and let's see how it looks then. Hey, thanks for joining me today at Ron's Southern Kitchen. I want you to know it's a pleasure doing these videos. I hope you enjoy them. And until next time, God bless you and I love you.